Murihiku, Southland, Fiordland. Great to be here today. I'm going to take you through, probably everyone else has said this, but it's a really big region and we've got a lot, so we'll try and context you on everything. And super looking forward to questions at the end. Feel free to ask anything and I'll endeavour to answer. Right, should we get into it? Okie dokie. So we'll start with what we might do. We'll just scooch to the next slide. So we're just going to start with a video that's just going to context a little bit of Murihiku Southland, just give you guys a bit of a flavour, and then I'll start getting into the slides and the info. There we go. Okay, cool. So you saw what you'll have seen in the video is basically, I mean, we've got a bit of everything. And what we kind of talk about with Murihiku Southland is that it's true New Zealand. You've got that wilderness, you've got the national parks, you've got a lot of coastline. It's a pretty special. It's as far south as you can go, and it's pretty amazing. So just to context where we are, I'm talking to you guys from Te Anau here. I'm on the edge of the Fiordland National Park. We're going to talk about Invercargill, Bluff, the Catlins, Gore, and Rakiura Stewart Island. So quite a few places, but we'll just get into it and I'll just tell you a bit more about the region. So the most important thing is one of the first things to context is how to get here. We are the most southern region probably in the world, but we're actually really accessible. So you can access us via direct flight from Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch. You can fly into Queenstown, Invercargill, or Dunedin. Or what's really classic with New Zealand is flying into Christchurch, camper vanning, or road tripping. It's a really incredible region to road trip, and it's a really incredible region to slow down in. So we really encourage people when thinking about the region, when building the itineraries, is to put a couple more days. Try and make sure you can fit a couple of days in the region to really get around all the bits and pieces. So Invercargill is our main hub. It's the oldest and southernmost city in New Zealand. It's beautiful, it's big wide streets, it's classic, it's quirky, it's very English, and is built with like ease of getting around. What's really interesting about the city is that it's probably one of the cities in New Zealand that's had a lot of investment lately. In the last 10 years, where a lot of city centres, their CBDs, have been dispersing and going out to superstores, what's been happening with Invercargill is it's been invested in and it's bringing people back into the CBD in terms of shops, dining, southern hospitality. It is really, really cool and it is moving in a different direction. So we are really proud to have Invercargill as our gateway to the Murihiku Southland region. I've skipped back again. There we go. What's really key to us is southern hospitality. So we've got a lot of coastline. So seafood, kaimawana is super important to us. And there is a really good culture of food, of paddock to plate, and a lot of we're quite big on our distilleries. We've got a distillery on Rakiura, we've got All Distillery, and we have another distillery. Where is it? I'm having my mental block. Anyway, we're quite big on food and booze, so it's a really cool place to come and kick back and let us take care of you. The picture up of the trucks. So we have this family in the region who have done. They're a local family. They've done really well in business, and what they have done is they have reinvested back into the city, and they've put together the coolest attraction, which is called Bill Richardson Transport World. Now, I didn't think I was into motoring or anything like that, but when you go there, you just lose absolutely hours. It's full of vintage vehicles from all over the world. They go out, they search, they travel, they import them back to New Zealand, and then they restore them to beautiful working condition. So you just lose hours in there. And what's really cool about it is that you kind of realize our massive connection to the UK when you're in there. There's a lot of British motoring in there. It's really, 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 really incredible. So we're very proud to have that also. And also you've been speaking to everyone in New Zealand, and we'll probably just rage on the outdoors. Like, we're all about getting outside. So when you're in Southland, again, coastline, surfing, hiking, biking, you name it, we're here for it. We do like to position ourselves as the hiking capital, and I will talk to you more about that when we get further into Fiordland. Invercargill accommodation. Now, this is really, really cool. Like I said, we've had a lot of investment in the last couple of years. There is a brand new hotel, the Langlands, which has 80 rooms, and due to be completed in July of next year is 150 room distinction. So what that really just enables us is that capacity to build in nights, tours, FIT into people's itineraries. It's reliable, that accommodation stock is there, and it's at a really high level because it's relatively new, which is really awesome. But we do have everything. Like, we've got from camper vanning to boutique to bed and breakfasts to motels to these new hotels. So we've really got it covered in Murihiku, which is really, really, a key part. Key part of the itinerary is, can you get the accommodation, and then building in around that. We do have some very quirky boutique accommodation. These ones here are a place called The Church, which is a 1914 building that's been redone to a really, really high standard. That is a really cool bespoke option. That if anyone wants to know anything about that, flick me an email. They're relatively new and just getting out there. So very, very cool option. Now, onto the Catlins. So this is it's kind of an hour and a half to 2 hours drive out of Invercargill. This is an incredibly rugged coastal part of Murihiku. It is, well, it's wild with a capital W. It's a really incredible spot to road trip through between Dunedin and Invercargill. Or if you can, there is not a lot of accommodation stock, so it's all about little Airbnbs and little guest houses. But it's one of those places you could easily spend a couple of days, but if it's not possible, it's an amazing place to divert through. The wildlife is incredible. We have a petrified wood, like prehistoric forest, which doesn't sound cool until you're standing on top of it and looking at a piece of wood that's tens of hundreds of thousands of years old. It's really, really amazing spot. Again with the surfing, and if you guys can see in the image there, that's a Hector dolphin on the wave with the surfer, and this isn't like a once in a lifetime random occurrence. We have a place called Curio Bay, or Porpoise Bay is its other name, simply because when you go in the water, the dolphins come out. It's happened to me. I've swum there with my family. The little guys, they live in the region, and they come out and they hang out with you, and it is, as long as you're not aggressive in any way, they come and they play. And I think that's the thing about Murihiku, is that we are so far south and we aren't a very heavily populated area. The wildlife is still there. The wildlife is very important to us, and we have a lot of rules and regulations about how we interact with it to keep it safe. We've also got the Fiordland crested penguin. I'll talk a little bit about that later. But yes, like I mentioned, Catlins accommodation stock, not massive. So it's one of those places that is an incredible camper van spot. It's a really, really great self-drive spot. A lot of tour companies come down through there. So it's a great place to drive through. It's a little bit more finicky to stay the night. But again, if you're camper vanning, it's incredible. The picture down the bottom with the big cliff is a place called Putakanui Bay. And that is just breathtaking. It's big, massive cliffs, it's rolling waves, and it's a really common kind of tick-off camper vanning spot that most people try, and if they can, get a park-up spot there on their way through. Now skipping down to Bluff. So Bluff is in a different direction. It's south of Invercargill, 20 minutes south of Invercargill. This is This is a little port village. I describe it as being quite piratey. It's got a lot of character. It's got a really deep seafaring history. It is still where the oyster boats go out from. Cruise ships come in there. We get cruise ships come in the summer. It is authentic New Zealand. It is a really, really special little village, and it seems to be in a lot of people's psyche about getting south and getting to Bluff. It is, it is just a special location, and it's the jumping off spot to get to Rakiura, Stewart Island. You'll see there we've got the picture of the great white. We do have great white shark cage diving. It is a seasonal thing. It's pretty intense. It's up there with experiences. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, but it certainly is up there for adventure experiences. Obviously completely safe, but just you are definitely in their environment. It's a once in a lifetime thing. Moving on, we've got Stewart Island, and the Māori name for Stewart Island is Rakiura. So this is the southernmost point of New Zealand. I think when people come to New Zealand from the UK, they say, oh, New Zealand is like the UK was 50 years ago. And when New Zealanders go to Stewart Island, we're like, oh, this is what New Zealand was like 50 years ago. It is cute, it is quaint, it is bespoke, it is beautiful, and it's very untouched. It is an international dark sky sanctuary, so there's very little light pollution down there. The night skies are incredible, and the aurora, you can see the aurora there just beautifully. It is incredible. Also, it's the only place a lot of New Zealanders like myself have actually seen kiwi in the wild. They are just rocking around on the island. They are so happy that they come out in the daytime. You can go and see them on nighttime tours, and you'll be guaranteed to see one, but I have walked along and just had one come out in front of me. So it is like, it's the New Zealand of the New Zealand of the New Zealand. It's a very, very special spot. I'll just cruise on through. How do you get to the island? There's 3 ways to get to the island. It's by ferry, which is an hour, by plane, which is 20 minutes, or by helicopter, which is 15 minutes, slightly faster for some reason. And you can combo it up. You might fly there, ferry back, ferry there and ferry back, ferry heli combo. But it is weather dependent, and there are lots of options. So although, again, like I say about Murihiku, we're in the middle of nowhere, but we're very accessible. And again, Stewart Island, hiking, walking, biking, diving, swimming, fishing, all the things, all the classic quintessential New Zealand Southland activities. Stewart Island accommodation has everything from beautiful eco pods that are very, very high specs, to the South Sea Hotel, which I will use piratey again as the best way to describe it. It is the absolute hub of Southern hospitality. You can walk in there and they'll just say g'day to you. They have this legendary pub quiz that happens on a Sunday night as well. Gore, I'll briefly speak to Gore, which is the heart of the farming community in Murihiku Southland, home to trout fishing, agri-tourism, and the vintage aircraft collection. So I don't know what it is about Southland, but we love vintage things. We love vintage cars, we love vintage planes, we love vintage trains, and we also love a bit of moonshine. Like I said, there's a few distilleries popping up in the region. So yeah, but we don't like to combine drinking and driving. Just make that little disclaimer. So Southland highlights, I'll just quickly fang through these. We've got the Langlands, which recently opened 80 rooms. We've got the Distinction Hotel, 150 rooms, coming online next year. Massive, massive win, massive coup for the region. And we have the redeveloped CBD. So, like, very, very proud of the improvements and forward thinking that's happening in our region. And this is the most exciting thing. This is what happened today. Today we had the Hump Bridge track open, which is New Zealand's newest, great walk. So we have the Milford, the Kepler, the Rootburn, and now we have the Hump Bridge. So I was down there, the ribbon was cut. It's now online, as it takes a lot of effort to become a great walk in New Zealand. It has been 35 years in the making. So it's a huge day for us in the region, absolutely huge. So if anyone has any questions about the Hump Bridge, feel free to hit me up about that later or via email. Cool, and we'll nip into Fiordland. We'll just quickly jazz through Fiordland. So we'll just nip to the Fiordland video, which is based on Te Anau, which is where I'm speaking to you from.
It's time to take some time off. Time off from the commute. Time off from the hustle and bustle. Time off from the crowds. Time off from the day-to-day. Time off for getting a little bit lost. For soaking it in. For experiencing something new. For slowing down. It's time to take some time off in Te Anau.
Oh, we're back. There we go, team. So back to Fiordland. Conscious of time, so I'll whiz through. So Fiordland, the thing about Fiordland is that it's got Milford Sound. And when people think about New Zealand, they think about Milford Sound and Mitre Peak. It's pretty iconic. It's an incredible region. So we'll just fire through what I can tell you about the region. So what we say is base yourself in Te Anau. It's an incredible base camp for the region. People do access it by day from Queenstown, by day from Invercargill, but it's a long way in. It's like a 4-hour trip in, whereas if you base yourself in Te Anau or Manapori, it's 2 hours into the national park. So it's just about that slower style of travel. And then we have a host of amazing activities here based around the lake and around the national park that are available in the village. So we love our jet boating, we love our scenic helicopters. We've got, again, with the vintage, we have the Faith. She's a beautiful motor sailor, and we have the bird park. That is a real bird. That's a takahe. It's a cute photo of one, but we've got the bird park. We've got quite a lot of wildlife that's easily accessible. And we are, quote unquote, I can say it hand on heart, we are the hiking capital of New Zealand. We have the most great walks in the country. So we have the legendary Milford Track, the Root Burn, the Kepler, and the Hump Ridge. These are insane. These are your 3-day, once in a lifetime, hike it out. Or maybe you do this repetitively, I don't know. Sometimes they're notoriously hard to get booked on. You have to be quite swift. But there's a big misconception that you have to do these over 3 days. You can actually just come and hike little sections of them, whether you do them unguided or there's lots of tour companies that will take you into one of these great walks for a small section. So bear that in mind. Just moving through. Again, with the wildlife, we have all the wildlife. We'll skip through, just conscious of time. We've got the Milford Road, which is the 2-hour drive in from Te Anau to Milford Sound. Quite often when you see vehicle adverts for nice vehicles, we always we're like, oh look, it's been shot on the Milford Road. It's one of those spots. It's so iconic. We're like, oh, that's that bend by Monkey Creek, and they're taking that Lexus round. Oh yeah. We're used to seeing our region on the big screen all over the show. I'll just skip through. I just want to take you guys through. We have Milford Sound, Pio Tahi is what we call it. I mean, obviously there's lots of cruise boat options, there's kayak options, there's many ways to see the fjord. It is incredible. But I want to talk quickly about Doubtful Sound Patia, which is the other one. It's the best kept secret in New Zealand, I think, and it's the best kept secret in Fiordland. Slightly further south, you access it via the township of Manapori. You jump on a boat, you go across Lake Manapori, you go over the Wilmont Pass, and then you get to Doubtful Sound. Now, the thing about Patia Doubtful Sound, when you get on the boat, it's just you, and it's just you and the people you travelled with, and that you are in the middle of nowhere. It's about 14 times the size of Milford Sound. It is prehistoric. It's incredible. It's the final frontier of places that you can take yourself. I really believe. So we always just try and put that out there as an idea. There's options to go in there for day cruises. There's options to go in there and sleep overnight on one of the overnight boats. It's really something special. So any questions about that, let me know. Again, Te Anau, base yourself in Te Anau, hiking, walking, glowworm caves. We've got agritourism. Big again on our flights. We're big on helicopters. We have a lot of helicopters in the region because it's so big. Scenic flights in this region is a really good way to context the region, see how massive it is. We definitely are very grateful that we have a lot of helicopters because we use them to get us about when things go wrong. But no, it's a very, very, very special region to do a scenic flight in. And accommodation stock, we have everything again. We've got some of the most beautiful lodges, and we take it right down to camping grounds. We've got everything. We are accommodation stock in that January, February can be a bit tight, but it's just about getting that accommodation and booking. We're really big on suggesting that people start coming to see us in the shoulder seasons. Really would love to see people October, November, December, and then March, April, May. March, I cannot speak highly enough of March as a month to travel to Fiordland. End of summer, gorgeous long days. Our daylight goes till about 10 o'clock at night, so you can pack in a lot of sightseeing. Go. Oh, seasonality. Yeah. So and the thing about Fiordland and Murihaku is we really do still have our seasons. We have a very distinctive summer, a very distinctive winter, a very distinctive autumn. It's great to come and actually feel those seasons. Just switch through. Fiordland highlights, some new things that have come online. We have overnight cruises on Lake Te Anau on the vintage motor sailor, the Faith. That's a really, really cool option. We're big about sleeping on boats. We've got, scooching back quickly, we've got the Fiordland Eco Retreat, and they do dark sky tours, which is incredible because, again, Fiordland, we're in the process of becoming a dark sky sanctuary, but we're not one quite yet. But we have got insane night skies, particularly in the winter months. So that's come online recently. We have, as I just mentioned, the hikes, the massive great walks can be accessed on just day hike options, and Trips and Tramps have a wonderful product where they will take you onto the Milford one day, the Kepler one day, and the Routeburn another. So just a really incredible way to access those things that are traditionally booked out in high season. And that's me. I think only 3 minutes over time. I think it's pretty good, actually. So feel free to hit me with any questions. Whereabouts am I looking? Yeah, could you, love? I can't see it. Oh, it's 20. What's that? Sorry. I'll answer the first question. 20 minutes between Te Anau and Manapori. They're like little sister villages. I would say 3 nights is appropriate, and we've really started to see that. People going to Milford Sound for 1 night, coming doing a night in Te Anau, and then the next day going and doing Doubtful Sound as a day trip or even as an overnight. That's been really, really a big move towards people doing both and contexting the pair of them against each other. Neither negative or positive, just that they are very different experiences. Autumn is a fantastic time to visit. It's not tropical. I'm not going to lie, it's not tropical. We definitely say bring your merinos and bring your base layers and your outer layers. It is a fantastic time to come because the weather is traditionally very, very settled in autumn. It's definitely, I would say, one of the best times to visit the region because it's settled. We've still got lovely daylight hours and we don't have the crowds. So you are able to, just access Milford Sound the way it's meant to be, access Doubtful Sound the way it's meant to be. You've got greater accommodation stock to choose from. I highly recommend autumn. Highly. Oh, tough question. Tough question. I mean, part of me wants to say Milford because it's so iconic and it's important that people kind of they get to see the thing that they want to see. But if it depends on what the traveller wants. If they want iconic tick box, Milford. If they want off the beaten track, bragging rights, doubtful. To come back and be like, we went to this place and it was off the hook, I'd send them into doubtful on an overnight, would be my advice. Yeah, just depending on what they need. That's it, team. You can see my details there. It's a terribly long-winded email, ros.hawks/Herman@Great South. But I know we've covered heaps of stuff. But if you have any questions ever about the full Murihiku region, accessing the likes of Rakiura, Stewart Island, Catlins, and particularly Fiordland. Fiordland is my absolute bag of chips. So any questions relating to Fiordland, I can get back to you ASAP. So yeah, really, really happy for all inquiry to come our way.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ros. That was fascinating. So much useful information there. Thank you for sharing.
A lot.
No, it was fabulous.
Thank you so much for having me, team. Really appreciate it. And I hope many of you get to, if you haven't already, come to visit in the region. It has to be seen to be believed.
Lovely. There's lots of positive comments in the chat. So I think everyone's quite excited to pay you a visit. Don't forget to head to the poll section. We've got the 3 polls questions. I'm just going to run through those for you quickly. So what is Stewart Island's Maori name? Where is the best place for visitors to base themselves in order to visit Fiordland? And what is the southernmost city in New Zealand? So make sure you answer those. And that is it for our regional presentation. So thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to come back here at 12 o'clock when we're going to be doing the Kiwi pub quiz. So make sure you're back for that. We've got lots of fun prizes up for grabs. And thank you for joining us this morning.